Welcome back to Rauscher Racing Weekly. I'm Blake Rauscher, driver of the number 3R, and this week we are going to be doing some Q&As.
So the first question we have for you, Blake, is what are your goals for 2021's race season?
My goals for this season are definitely keep it on all fours more often, because last season we flipped a lot. I don't want to be doing more of that. And just do better, hopefully get some better positions in the points and stuff.
We've seen you at both indoor and outdoor tracks. What is a preference?
That's a hard one. Red Bluff is really fun, but it's like really compact and you can get in wrecks way easier because if it happens right in front of you, there's like some of the times there's nowhere for you to go. I would have to say that Cycland would probably have to, like the bigger open tracks like that would have to be my more style of driving.
We've described the moment the green flag drops.
Ooh, so when the green flag drops, it's just go time, you know, all that adrenaline, like it kind of calms down a little bit. You're like really focused and the adrenaline's just pumping, so you're just like focused in and it's just go time.
In the last year or so, we've really seen kart racing explode across our nation. Is there a track that you would like to go to?
Ooh, that's a hard one to think about because there's a lot of good tracks. Like they got Millbridge, they had a big old SRT, I think it was like the Kart Cup or something down in like, was it Oklahoma, I think. And there's just a lot of tracks, like a lot of drivers, like where I want to go. I don't know if I have a specific one, but I would like to hit like Idaho and North Carolina and Oklahoma, places like that. I don't know, there's just a lot of tracks. I want to do a lot more tracks.
So currently you're in the 500 class. That's kind of the top of kart racing. Is there another driving style or another car, asphalt, dirt, something like that you would like to try?
That's a really hard question to think about, but I don't really think about doing too much asphalt stuff. That's not really my style. I don't really like watching any of that. It's just kind of boring. I like dirt because it's really action, like packed elbows up racing, slide job, stuff like that. But the type of cars I would like to drive that I've talked about are like micros, modifieds, midgets, and sprint cars, stuff like that, like stuff I've talked about. That'd be fun to do. But going onwards, I'm not sure where we go. If we were to move up, probably like a micro or a modified, because doing midgets and stuff and sprint cars, that could get really expensive.
Modifieds are kind of the premier around our area where we live. So is there a track maybe that you've seen recently that you would like to put a modified on?
Ooh, going to Susanville would be cool because they seem to have really good car count and it looks pretty fast. That'd be really fun to go try.
What driver do you maybe not aspire to be, but really watch when you're getting ready to go on a track? Is there a driver that you watch their line, you study what they're doing, and try and pick up some pieces of that?
Well, definitely when we're kart racing, if Kyle Larson's there, he's just so smooth and fast and everything he does. Like when you watch him, he barely turns the wheel, and like trying to figure out how he does that, like how to be that smooth that's like what I watch, stuff like that.
How do you feel about getting back in? So you've been out for about 12 weeks now, I think. So how do you feel about getting in next weekend?
I'm really excited to get back in because we've been watching a lot of racing, like the Chili Bowl. We've been playing a lot of iRacing and doing stuff like that, and just like all the racing, I want to get back out there. I'm really excited to do it again.
iRacing is something that's new to you. Do you find it to be advantage? Do you find it to be authentic when you're doing it?
Yeah, it's pretty close, like setting up the car and stuff, doing stuff like that. Like it's a challenge because it's different from like what we do, but setting it up and feeling it, like it seems pretty close to what you'd think it would be. Based off of like what I know from kart racing, like the movements and stuff like that, it seems pretty close.
Do you think iRacing will bring you an advantage as a driver?
I feel like it could bring an advantage because when you're playing iRacing, if you have the setup right, you barely have to move the steering wheel at some points. Like you could just put it in there, and it feels like that's what you want to do on the racetrack. Like when we watch people qualify at, like, say, Red Bluff, like Tyler Seavey, he's really good at qualifying. You watch him, he's barely turning. So it makes me think, like, if we were to have the most, like, perfect setup to us, like, that we could have, like, I could, like, do the same type of stuff, basically, like, keep it, like, that smooth feeling on the track.
Qualifying's kind of, we've heard you guys say a lot, qualifying is what sets the night, and we have struggled as a team to qualify well. Do you find that that's one of the areas you would really like to focus on and conquer?
Yes, that is definitely one of the areas I would like to conquer. This past season at Cycland was probably the best I've done at qualifying. I was really consistent for a while of getting close to the top 10. Like every week, we had a couple weeks in a row where I was just doing that. But yeah, I'd like to get better at that because it's really a struggle. Like if you don't qualify that good, you can start way back in a heat race and then your night it's not going to go that good.
Tell me about the moment you set up a car and you go for the pass.
That's a hard one. Like you visualize it because you have to like think about a lot of stuff. Like where are they gonna go? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do if they like do something else? Like there's a lot of stuff to think about. Like if you're gonna throw a slide job, like where do I gotta enter? I remember one time I was trying to throw a slide job on a guy and I was like, okay, I'm gonna like hit the bottom really good, and then I messed it up because I went too low. I hit the berm and I spun out. It's like a lot of like thinking and like realizing what you're doing. You can't just like be all willy nilly. You have to like know. You have to have a plan to like make sure you keep your speed up when you're going in the corners and stuff.
If you had a young driver that was just getting into racing, what message would you have for them?
Don't give up, because it's really easy to just give up. Like we've had moments at the racetrack where we just get mad and like we're just like, yeah, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. But we go back and do it again because we love to do it. So just don't give up.
How do you handle criticism from other drivers or outside entities, especially in our day and age where social media has kind of taken over?
The way I handle criticism, like if it's negative criticism from like another driver to say, like I wouldn't care about that because I just like that doesn't mean anything to me because sometimes like they might be better, but like who cares, dude? I'm out here trying to do what I can do best on the track, but like forget you. But like if it was good criticism, like from like a good driver, like maybe like say Tanner Holmes, if he were to give me like constructive criticism of how to be a better driver, then I'd take that in respectively and listen to what he's saying.
Do you seek input from certain people? Is there somebody who, if you're really struggling, you're able to go ask a question and take it seriously?
Yes. When we're at the racetrack and I have problems, usually when we're at Red Bluff and Cycland, Lance DeLozier, he's there and he's been a good buddy of ours for a while and he's always there to help us when we were struggling. Like last time we were at Red Bluff, I couldn't keep the front wheels on the ground. We were just popping big old wheelies. So I went over and I asked him what to do and he said, throw some weight on there. So we did what he said. He gave us some weight to borrow, and it seemed to help it out. Well, there's my Q&A for this week's episode. Next time you're going to see me is on the track at Red Bluff. So now we're going to head to a break, and after that, we got some big news from Evan.
Welcome back, race fans. I'm Evan Rauscher, the driver of the 07.
Evan, this weekend you're getting ready to get back in your car. You've been out for a few weeks. Do you have any expectations?
Yeah, it would be cool. Now, watching the OI class, the class that I have to run at Red Bluff, it would be cool to qualify in the dash. I think I can do it because most of the kids that are in the dash in Red Bluff, I normally run with them at Cycland, so hopefully I can carry speed over from that track to Red Bluff and qualify in a dash. That would be pretty cool.
Any concerns about getting back in after you've taken this small break?
Not really. You just got to get back in the groove and knock the rest off from not being in the car for a couple weeks. But how Blake said, over Christmas break and stuff, I've got a gaming PC and I got iRacing, so hopefully that kind of kept me from not really getting too bad on the wheel when it comes back to real life, but we'll just find out on the next race that we're going to, and hopefully we can do good.
How has iRacing been for you? Do you expect it to have an advantage?
I wouldn't say necessarily an advantage, although I can see why it can make you more smooth on the wheel, because after getting the steering wheel last night and playing it for a little bit, it's really hard to be smooth and not saw out the wheel and get wishy-washy down the straightaways and stuff. But besides that, I think it can also teach you throttle control and stuff, but not much really else besides that.
This weekend will be one of the first times that you've been a full-time car chief as well as a driver. How are you going to be able to split your time?
I'm just going to have to do what I normally do and just help Brent out and set up his car and make the right calls on his car. And then I can also kind of help my dad out who will be working on mine, because I can tell him what I see and what I think he should do, and kind of just what me and Brent do, how he tells me what he thinks the track will do and stuff. So I just got to make the judgment call on that car and mine, and then tell my dad what to change on it. Besides that, I don't think I'll have to change really much anything. But here's a quick word from our sponsor, and when you come back, I'll show you my new paint scheme.
The official sponsor of Open Heat Race number 1, where the winner will receive a $50 gift card. QRC is the leading manufacturer of outlaw carts in the world and have been in business since 1985. Located a half-mile away from the Tehama District Fairgrounds in Red Bluff, California, where it all began 35 years ago. Call QRC at 530-527-9199 or visit QRCcarts.com for more information.
Welcome back, race fans. So, as I said before we went to commercial, I'm going to show you my new paint scheme. So we'll go around the car and I'll kind of explain what we're doing with it and what we did with it. So let's take a look with it. So on this side, I have my same number, just different style. And how we kind of picked this style was because if you see right here, all the points and stuff kind of flow back. So I kind of wanted to keep that same concept with the number. So if we move down on the wing, you guys can see that we have Sparks Diesel Service on here. And as you guys may know, our old sponsor, Ranchers Diesel, quit his business to go work with Sparks Diesel Service. So now they are our new diesel mechanic sponsor. So I like the new design on here. I think it looks pretty cool. And then if you move down here on the hood, you can kind of see it's the same thing that was on the wing, just different colors, and it comes from a swoosh and comes all the way up to the back, and it stays the same back here, so it kind of looks like it's blowing off the car. And then if we move around to the front of the car, we have my grandpa sticker up here. The grandpa sticker means quite a bit to me. It's always nice to have his sticker on my car. And then we have some of the swooshes that were on the side of the car. We kind of just cut some of the pieces off to make the designs right there. And as you guys can see, we also have a small little 07. But when we move over here to the left-hand side of the car, we have the same design on the hood and the wing, just flipped on from sides. Then we have the same number, everything, but we have a different sponsor over here, Kim's Custom Tumbler. It's my mom's custom tumbler shop, so if you guys ever need a custom tumbler, hit her up on Facebook at Kim's Custom Tumbler. And that's basically it for this, so I'll shoot off to Dad's Corner.
Welcome back, everybody. I guess this is going to be Dad's Corner for the week. We just unveiled Evan's new look. What do y'all think of that? I think it's pretty cool looking with the new colors. And
it's definitely different. You don't see anybody else's car out there like that.
Right, and that's what I like. I like people to, when they see us, they know who we are, because we don't go with run-of-the-mill stuff. So, you know, it's pretty cool to be able to do our own vinyl and do it the way we want, so.
Yeah, I like the way that you kept the nod of the blue in there from all the way through his entire career, really. He's had something blue on his car all the way through, and I think it's really cool that the way you guys did the numbers on it, it matches the theme of the car really well.
Yeah, I think it came out pretty neat. Like you said, it's got just enough blue spread out throughout the car that kind of ties everything together. So, I don't know. I think it's pretty sporty. I can't wait to see it on the track and get the new sponsors out there with Sparks Diesel Repair. You know, he's never seen one of these things before, so he's about to be enlightened, and I think he's going to love it, and I think his little boy is going to want one once he sees these things. So
yeah, and that's, I mean, for people seeing it for the first time, I think it inspires younger kids to want to get in it and do it, and and that's how we, you know, keep the sport going and growing, and you always got to have somebody new coming in. Right.
I know us, even before running Fernley, Fallon with you guys and whatnot, we always try to get somebody new, at least somebody once a year that's never been to a race or never seen these things, to come to the track and just see what we do. You know, see why the only thing I like to talk about is racing. You know, I'm sure I bug the hell out of people because that's me. That's what I want to talk about. Everybody at work's talking about, oh, this team's going to the Super Bowl. To be honest, I could care less.
Me too.
You know, I have no need to watch the National Felon League, so.
Yeah, I prefer racing over everything else. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as we're talking racing.
Right, exactly.
But I'm excited to get back to the track next week, and I'm excited to have Blake and Evan there running as well. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Blake and Evan's last showing was the Burris Bull Ring Showdown, which is a few months ago.
Yeah.
So they've, you know, Brent's obviously, he's been racing because he's running for points, but my boys haven't been on the track now in a few weeks. So
they got to get out there and knock the rust off, the cobwebs, and
yeah, exactly. The good thing is we have some momentum because they both ran really good.
Yeah.
You know, I really think Evan's got a good shot of making a trophy dash in the OI class. So
Evan definitely gets up on the wheel. He's there. He's a no bull kind of a driver, and he's fun to watch.
Right.
Where you watch Blake, and he gets in there, and then it's like, oh, no. and he'll back out.
Right, he's more calculated. Where Evan, he'll tear right front off. He don't care if that's going to get him a spot at the checkered flag. Then he'll leave that thing on the track. He don't care.
Yep.
So
I've told Blake countless times, dude, you got a Nerf bar, use it. You bend it, I'll buy you another one.
Right. Yeah, those parts are cheap. Let's use those up instead of the other stuff. But like a roll cage that Blake has on his car, because at the Burris Bull Ring Showdown, he got in a wreck and actually totaled the cage where it's not usable. It's junk.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that goes back to what Blake was saying earlier in the show, that Red Bluff stuff happens so fast you don't have anywhere to go. There's nowhere to dodge the wreck, or it's kind of plow through and hope you make it. And
Right. Yeah. You don't want at that place. If you can start up front and you can stay up front, you're in a much better spot. If you got to come through the slaps in the back, then you're most likely you're going to tear up something. It may not take you out of the race, but you're going to hurt parts. You're going to spend money.
Yeah, it's not going to look the same as you went out.
Right.
They never do, unfortunately.
Exactly. That's why I was just telling the boys that obviously our trailer is still broke, so we're going to load our stuff in your trailer. But I was telling the boys, like, we got to dig through the snow out here in the backyard and get to the trailer and get those backup wings out, because you cannot go to Red Bluff without a backup wing, at least one backup wing.
Yeah, we carry one for Brent in the trailer at all times.
Yep.
Doesn't matter where we go.
Yep, you have to. You just never know what's going to happen. So sometimes going to Red Bluff, if you can have a whole spare car, you're better off. But
yeah, there was a couple Cycle Land races last year that we took a complete spare car for Brent just because we didn't know. And then he ended up tearing the car up on the last night, which it's going to happen, but...
Right, yeah, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yep.
It's going to happen. It's like engines. They don't last forever, It's, in our cars, they're a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't really take much time to look at the gauges, nor do you care what they say, because you're going to ignore it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So, and these guys, all they have is a temperature gauge.
Yeah.
And it's literally about 1 inch around, and it's down in the right-hand corner of the roll cage, and I honestly don't know if you can even see it.
I know, I couldn't see Blake's.
Right, so.
But yeah, even like you said with our cars, you don't really have time to look at the gauges.
Right.
Under yellow, yeah, cool, no problem. When you're racing, doesn't matter what they say.
Right, you got to pay attention to what's going on in front of you. You got to look down at, if you're coming out of turn 4, you got to be looking at turn 1 to know what's going on and see what's happening in between there and what you got to dodge and where you want to go once you get there.
Yep.
And so, I can just imagine, like I said, I haven't driven one of these things, but they have the same power to weight ratio as a 410 sprint car, and I know watching them, they move. I can't imagine what it feels like with your butt 3 inches off the ground.
It sets you in the seat in a hurry. It's a feeling. The feeling I got in Blake's car was nothing like what I've ever driven before.
Right.
It shocked me. I was pretty surprised at how quick it gets going.
Right. Yeah, our cars, they do what we call get up on the bars, which is the way the trailing arms are set. And when you stab the throttle and the pinion in the rear end does its whole thing, our cars actually pick up in the back and will tilt you forward. So you actually, you look like you're doing this down the straightaway in the car, not like these guys where half the time they're riding wheelies, So
yeah.
I can imagine that's probably a little bit different feeling than with no suspension to
you
soak up anything.
You start bouncing and you're just trying to sit as still as possible and trying to see where you're going, and it's just beating your head off the headrest, and I think it took a week for my eyes to quit shaking.
I don't doubt it one bit. So I'm not envious of you driving that thing. I was glad to stand there and watch and pay the entry fee. So
yeah, it was definitely different. But I commend all three of them and everybody that does it week in and week out. It's definitely rough to be like, okay, I'm going to get in again next week. Ours, it's like, okay, we've tore some stuff up and that wasn't so bad. But these things, you hit a pothole and you're like, oh, I'm not going to walk the next week.
Right. Yeah, that's with my back and the way I am, man. I'll be lucky to even get out of the car, let alone be able to walk next week to get in the damn thing. So
I was just lucky to be able to get in it.
Right. But
I'm glad we don't have those on a blooper reel anywhere.
Oh, I'm sure they're coming.
I hope not.
I'm sure we can fit them in. But yeah, so I hope you guys all like Evan's new look. I think it came out pretty badass, and you never know. The right sponsors come along and they're willing to come on board with us and pay the money, and they want it in their company colors. We could have a different look here in a few weeks. You never know what's going to happen. So stay tuned.